My name is Nancy McGuire. I'm an outdoor trainer for Girl Scouts of San Jacinto, and I'm also a member of the Lone Star Dutch Oven Society. We're going to talk today about Dutch oven tools, how to cook in a Dutch oven, and then after this film, we're going to have a little Q&A of anything y'all want to ask me. I've given you a handout, and it has some sources for you to get more information. It has the website for the Lone Star Dutch Oven Society, LSDOS. It also has their Facebook page for my chapter, which is the Saltgrass chapter. We're the Houston area chapter, and we meet at Bear Creek Park on the third Saturday of the month when it's not COVID. I've also included my email address. Feel free to call me and ask me, or email me and ask me any questions. So let's talk about what tools we have here. This is an assortment of Dutch ovens I have, different sizes, different things. This is typically the type of Dutch oven I like to cook on. This is a 12-inch Dutch oven. It's got little feet on the bottom so that it stands up with the charcoal, over the charcoal. And I have a lid that it's flat and it has a lip on the edge to keep the charcoal on it. I cook a lot in this small Dutch oven right here. This is one of my Dutch oven bags that I carry them in. This is a real good idea to transport these to camp, especially so they don't fall and rattle around in your car. Protects them for storing them out in the garage, keeps the dust off of them. So I have a Dutch oven bag, and the more expensive ones are padded on the bottom. This is a cheap one, and what I have done is added a board in the bottom so the Dutch oven doesn't punch, the little legs don't punch through the bottom. And this works really good to transport my Dutch ovens. Another thing that I use is Dutch oven liners. This is a Dutch oven liner. They come in 10-inch and 12-inch. And I put this in my Dutch oven just to save me for cleanup. Not necessary. You can also use foil. If you use foil, you want to mash it in the size of your pot and make sure all the edges fit close to the sides of the pot and the bottom where it fits real tight. And any pieces you have that might stick out, you want to fold them down before you put them inside of your Dutch oven. But this is an inexpensive way to do this. I go for these things. It makes it a whole lot easier. You can wash them if you want. They're a lot easier than washing these Dutch ovens. But these run about 80 cents if you buy them in bulk on Amazon. And that's what we're going to use today. So I have a 10-inch, which I do most of my cooking in, a 12-inch. This is called a 12-inch deep. And if you look on your chart, it talks about how much they weigh and how much you can put in them. And that's a big factor in getting a really big Dutch oven. Can you lift it when it's full of food? I know I can't. This is the biggest thing I can lift, and I mostly cook chicken in it. That's why I got the deep. This Dutch oven someone gave to me. It was a gift, and notice it doesn't have any feet on it. So what I have done, I buy these little trivets, and you can use these trivets if you have a plain Dutch oven to lift them off the coals and cook. I also use those trivets. I have this one right here. I also use these trivets to put the lids on as I'm cooking. So when you take the lid off, imagine this has hot coals on it, and I want to see what's in it and give it a stir. So I will get one of my lid lifters. I will lift off the lid to the Dutch oven and then stir my pot, and I can put, and that way it doesn't touch the ground or get dirty. And then I can put it back on. They have several different kind of lid lifters. This is my favorite, this one. They also sell a real inexpensive one like this one. I don't find this one works as well. It's a little bit unwieldy for me, but you can use one like this with hot coals on it. They make these also in a longer length, but since I cook on a table, it kind of seems silly to have a lid way up here and pull it up. I kind of like it close to the pot. But if you were cooking on the ground, that would work to have a longer handle. These are available on the internet, and they're called lid lifters for Dutch ovens. These are welder's mitts I got from a welding supply, and these are kind of the best hot mitts you can buy. They keep your hands from getting burned. And these are my tongs that I use for picking up coals while I'm cooking. These are called Aussie barbecue tongs, A-U-S-S-I-E. They're from Australia. And if you search all the websites, sometimes you can find them. They're kind of hard to find. But these are great for picking up. They're supposed to be for barbecue and meat, but they're great for picking up coals and moving them as you're cooking. I use this to shovel coals when I put them in the bucket when I'm finished cooking. And this is actually a tool for some kind of Chinese cooking. I use this to shovel coals also. This works real good too. For my kitchen implements, a friend of mine made me this bag. And it's just a piece of blue jean material that's been cut, folded in half, and has pockets. And I just put everything I'm going to need when I'm cooking. I really like to cook with wooden spoons because they don't get hot. But everything I need fits in here. I roll it up and take it to camp. If I was to remake this, I probably would make this flap a little longer so I could roll it over the stuff when I roll it up so that it doesn't fall out. Because sometimes I have that issue when I have it that the stuff will fall out if it's not secured tightly. So that's another thing that you can think about doing if you'd like to do something like this. I also know people that carry their Dutch oven tools in plastic toolboxes that you get at the hardware store. Go to the Harbor Freight or somewhere inexpensive like that and get you a plastic box to keep your tools in. That's another idea of keeping your tools. Over here, I have my Dutch oven table. This is a table by Lodge. You don't have to have this. In fact, if you come to our meet, someone will let you use their table, cook with them. You don't have to do it if you'd like to come cook with us. But this is has a windscreen. I can stack 4 Dutch ovens on this, and it all folds flat and fits in this bag to travel home. The problem with it is it's very heavy. It's very heavy to lift, so that is a consideration if you get one. A lot of people just take a piece of steel or some cement board and put it down, and they cook on top of that to raise it up off the ground so it's easier to cook. This is my charcoal chimney. I can't tell you where I got that. I got that from a guy at a Dutch oven meet. He makes them himself. But any kind of chimney you buy at Academy or a hardware store to put charcoal in to start your charcoal. And the bucket is what I put my spent charcoal in as I cook, or to put out charcoal. It goes in the bucket and I put my lid on it. The first thing we're going to start with is our San Francisco pork chops. And I'm going to put a little cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil just because that's what I had, but any kind of vegetable oil, a couple of tablespoons in your pan. And I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to start this on my chimney so that I can sizzle these pork chops and brown them a little bit. So I'm just going to cook 4 pork chops in this pot. Now the reason I did it that way, it's real hard to brown pork chops to get the pot hot enough to put a sear on them. So that's why I'm kind of cheating and using the chimney. The second thing, after I brown those pork chops slightly, I'm going to take a sauce that I've made. This is made with beef broth, soy sauce, brown sugar, and red pepper flakes. And I've mixed that in advance here. And I'm also going to put some garlic in it. And I'm a firm believer that real garlic is better than jarred garlic. So we're going to use real garlic today. So I peel these garlic cloves, and I'm just going to put them in my garlic press. And put this in my sauce. Make sure we get it all ground up and put in there. So our sauce for the pork chops is ready. The next ingredient I'm going to prep is some apple enchiladas. I call these apple dumplings, but the recipe I downloaded off the internet called them apple enchiladas. So you take flour tortillas, get a can of apple pie filling, and you put about 1/6 of it on 6 different tortillas. Put a little cinnamon on them. And I'm going to wrap these up. It said to fold the ends, but these are so fat, I think I'm just going to leave them as they are. Put the seam side down in your pan. We're going to sprinkle a little cinnamon and sugar over them. And then we're going to make our sauce. So our pork chops are already starting to brown a little bit. Just checking them. Not quite brown yet, but they are cooking, which is what we wanted. So I'm going to let those cook just a little bit more. We're going to take a 1/2 stick of butter, a 1/2 cup of water, a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a 1/2 cup of white sugar, and we're going to stir this together and cook it. And since we're in my backyard, I have a barbecue grill right here with a little burner. So we're going to let that cook. Okay, now we're ready to flip them.
Okay.
I'm just going to flip them anyway. These aren't too brown, but I'm just going to go ahead and turn them. I think they'll get browner as we go. One of the reasons I like to do this class on Zoom is because if we were to do this class at Girl Scout camp, it takes longer than an hour and a half at our typical fall volunteer conference. And I was hoping through the magic of video to squeeze this down to 30 minutes to make it more interesting. So when I put these in here, I already had 4 of them done before we started, and then I added the other 2. So this normally makes 6 enchiladas in your pot for this recipe. Now I'm just cooking what would feed my family. I'm not cooking what would feed a troop. I don't think I would make this necessarily for a troop, but I'm just demonstrating Dutch oven cooking today versus what I would do for a troop situation. For a troop, I would cook chili, I would cook the macaroni and cheese that I'm getting ready to make, I would cook a casserole, something like that where I could feed a lot of people versus what I'm cooking today for my family. Okay, so now we're going to transfer our coals to our Dutch oven and really start cooking because I think the coals are all ready now. So I've gotten a head start on browning these pork chops. And I'm going to pour a few of my coals on this table. And then we're going to start cooking our macaroni and cheese. I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of butter and melt in that Dutch oven. Melted. Okay. So now we're melting butter in this Dutch oven to cook our macaroni and cheese in. So when this melts, I'm going to pour in about 3 tablespoons of flour and let that cook. Turning my pork chops, they're getting nice and brown. And you got to remember, coals are underneath here, so it doesn't cook exactly evenly. Lifted up off our coals so we don't put our coals out. When you want to turn up the heat, you just add a few more coals. This flour is browning. We're going to add some salt, half a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to add a half a teaspoon of dry mustard. That will give our sauce a little bit more bite for our macaroni and cheese. Okay, our pork chops are coming along real good, so we're going to put our sauce that we made on them. Put our lid on and add some more coals. These pork chops need to cook 30 minutes, and halfway through we're going to flip them. I think our flour's browned enough. We're going to add milk and create a white sauce. This is 2 cups of milk. So we're going to let this cook and thicken just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to start cooking our green beans. I started using shallots rather than onions. I think they have a milder taste. So we're going to take our shallot and slice it into slices. And we're going to put some butter in our pan. And we're going to put our shallots in there, and we're going to saute these. And that's going to take a minute to heat up, so we'll just let those start cooking. So as you're cooking, it's real important that you keep making charcoal as you go so you won't run out. So I haven't taken all the charcoal out, but I'm just going to add more on top so we can let these start getting lit. So those will start heating up while we're still cooking. Now that our sauce is thickened up, we're going to add our cheese and we're going to make a cheese sauce. So I put 3/4 of the bag of cheese in there, and I'm going to mix that up and cook that in. Then we're going to add our macaroni, and this is the one place where I cheat at camp. I make my macaroni at home ahead of time. I put a little oil or butter on it so it doesn't stick together after I've rinsed it, and I put that already pre-cooked into my cheese sauce. Stir that up and get the cheese all over it. Now the recipe is not exactly printed this way, but I am doing it where I don't have as many pots to wash. It says to pour it in a casserole. We don't have that, so we're just going to pour it like this. We're going to sprinkle the rest of our cheese on top. Put our lid on. Put some more coals on top. I'll grab a few out of here. Another trick that I have that I cheat is I buy green beans already washed, picked in a package. This makes your whole operation a lot faster. Then you just dump the green beans in. A little salt, pepper. Cover these with water. Put your lid on. And let them cook. Now we're going to take our apple enchiladas, take our sugar and butter sauce, and pour this on top. And add some more coals on top of here. A good rule of thumb is if you have a 12-inch pot, if you have 10 on the bottom and 12 on top, that will cook at about 350. So this is a 12-inch oven, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'll put 2 more on top. And this is a 10-inch, so I'll put 2 more on top of this one. And now we're going to let this cook for a while. So let's check our green beans to see how they're cooking. They're coming right along. I'm going to flip our pork chops in this sauce. Hard to do with gloves on. Okay. Over here, put those down. I think I need just one hand now. I'm going to spoon a little bit of this sauce on here to keep these tender so they don't get dried out. Okay, I believe our apple dumplings, apple enchiladas are cooked. Put those over here so you can see them. Our macaroni and cheese is cooked. Come over here. So now we take our pork chops and I'm just going to pour in a little cornstarch and water to thicken this sauce. It says you're supposed to take the pork chops out, put them on a platter, thicken the sauce and pour it over. We're just doing the short version, camping version. I'm going to let that cook for just a few more minutes. Let's check on our green beans. They're coming right along. You got to remember, as you're cooking, your coals will be burning out. So as they burn, they're not very good. They're covered in ash and they're not as hot. So you always continually need to freshen up your coals. Now, we're going to get rid of these extra old coals in our ash bucket. that cook just a few more minutes and we'll be ready to eat. Get a Our pork chops are ready in their sauce, and they're nice and tender. And I think
I'll just let you, well.
so. I'm going to try a bite of the pork chop. Tender. It's cooked. Creamy macaroni and cheese. A little crusty on the edges.
Yum. Oh, those are cooked.
Delicious green beans. And eat another spoon. I'm gonna break off one of these. Get a half. And try a bite of this. So good. I hope you like these recipes, and feel free to email me if you have any comments or any questions. Thank you.